Welcome to the Business of Dance podcast, where you'll learn what it takes to create your dream professional dance career.
Join us as we dive into the insights and experiences of the world's top dance industry professionals, including dancers, choreographers, agents, casting directors, educators, and other dance industry experts.
We explore a diverse range of topics, from personal development and mental skills to audition techniques, creating meaningful industry connections, social media marketing, seeking out dance agents and casting opportunities, on-the-job etiquette, talent unions, pitching to the media, health, finances, and so much more.
Here is your host, Menina Fortunato.
So I'm super excited for today's guest. She's someone that has come in and out of my life over the years. And we were trying to figure out when that was exactly, but we think it's around 2007. So almost 20 years, which is a really long time. She's been in the entertainment business for over 20 plus years. She has worked with Christina Aguilera on multiple tours for many, many years, along with Britney Spears. She's also with Katy Perry, believe them. She has been in movies like Burlesque, La La Land. She also did the residency with Britney for Piece of Me in Las Vegas. She's worked on The Voice, Dancing with the Stars, American Housewife. She's been on Oprah. She's also was a dance at the NFL. She's also the movement director for Olivia Rodrigo. And she's done campaigns with Christina Aguilera for the new perfume campaign and Aveda. And she's a wife and a mother. And she is pregnant with baby number 2 at the moment. Please give a virtual love to Sarah. Oh, Sarah, welcome. Hello, Mama. Now, you guys can't see, but she is legit 9 months pregnant right now, right?
Yes, 9 months pregnant.
So, like any day now,
any moment,
you are going to be a mama of 2. And your whole life is going to be flipped upside down, inside out in the most beautiful way. But
yes.
We're not going to talk about motherhood at this very second. But I do want to talk about your dance life. So I know I met you almost 20 years ago, but there's a whole life before that I don't even know. So I'd love for you to take us back to the young girl, I think, I'm assuming, that started dancing. What did that look like? Where did you grow up? How old were you when you started? And what did that look like when you were young?
Well, I grew up in Western Massachusetts, which really there wasn't much. Now there's actually CLI, which is great. I wish there was CLI when I was younger, but I started dancing when I was 2.5. And then my grandmother took me on a trip to New York City. And I was like, I'm going to move here and live here and dance here to see the Rockettes. And I was 9. And I instantly knew like that's where I wanted to be. And then I moved to New York City when I was actually the end of my senior year in high school. The only audition in my area was for the Patriots Cheerleaders. And I was never a cheerleader. I was always a dancer. I auditioned. I made the team. I was still in high school. We went to the Super Bowl. I met a bunch of wonderful women. I ended up getting a Super Bowl ring because they won, which was crazy. They were actually really terrible before that. And then that year, things turned around. And then from there, I had such a great experience on that team. I moved to New York and I auditioned for the Knicks City Dancers and I made the team there. And the interesting thing about that was during those years, they would leave one spot open to try to like create buzz. I was fighting for the last spot. I was one of 3 women. I remember I was in New York for like 2 weeks and I found myself on Good Morning America at like 6 a.m. dancing and America voted me on to the Knicks Dancers. Yeah. So that was a really cool like,
they opened it up for the public on Good Morning America to vote for the one spot.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I got a call like weeks later, a week later, and they were like, so you're going to be our last Knicks City
Dancer. Have to do to win the hearts of Americans.
I did the audition routine. So, I mean, I had auditioned already for like 2 days. But I will say like being on dance teams, specifically the Knicks, was life-changing for me because those women are still my best friends. I had finally met people who were like me, in a big city that wanted to dance professionally. And they're still my friends today. They're my mom friends. I got an agent from being on that dance team. So like, I would say if you're ever moving to a big city, it is one way to kind of just make life better. You know, you instantly have a group of friends. Like it was the best experience. I did that for 4 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then I was also like auditioning and doing other jobs. It gets tricky because then you're trying to work around those schedules if you do book jobs.
Yeah.
You know, I knew that I wanted to do tours and I knew that I wanted to do other things that weren't in New York. So I knew I was going to have to move to LA.
Okay. I got to backtrack a little bit. You were 16 dancing for the Patriots?
18. It was my senior year in high school. Yeah.
Okay. So then you moved to New York. Well, what did that even look like? Like, did you have a job? Did you know anybody? Was it like on a whim, like pack my bags, mom, dad, I'm out? Was it like, what did that look like, that transition?
I wanted to prepare, but like you can't really even get an apartment until like the month before in New York. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I think it's similar to you. You were like, I'm doing this. And really nobody could tell me I wasn't. So, but like financially, no one was supporting me. My parents supported me like emotionally, but I also have very young parents. So they were just kind of like, all right, girl, do your thing. Like if this is what you want to do, go do it. I had no other job, no other income. I think I went there with like $2,000, which I wouldn't recommend, especially today. But, you know, it was life-changing for me. And I was like, I'm doing this. And, you know, I know growing up, I don't know how it was for you, but when you told someone you wanted to be a professional dancer when I was younger, people were like, what? Like there was no So You Think You Can Dance. There was no Dance with the Stars, social media. People were like, you can't, how are you going to do that for a career? You know, I had to also ignore a lot of people telling me not to do it.
I know that feeling. I literally just shared a video of Taylor Swift last night. I don't know if the clip is circling around amongst dancers and, you know, people that you love, people that you respect, people that genuinely are looking out for you will discourage you and will.
It's on my story right now, the exact clip. It's truth. It's true. It's like, this is not an easy path sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And although well-intentioned, anyone that gives you that advice, you know, obviously is trying to look out for, you know, for you, but little do they know that it is possible. And clearly you have done the thing and still doing the thing. So,
you know, I didn't even want to move to LA, but I knew that if I wanted to further my career, I had to move to LA. So I literally bought a car and drove cross country without ever being in California and didn't have a place. Again, I wouldn't recommend doing it that way, but that's how I did it.
But you drove and you had no place and no job.
I stayed at a friend's house. I had no job. I did have my agent though. I was like, okay, I have my blog. I have blog from New York.
Okay.
I was able to at least have that. But, you know, in New York, I knew a bunch of people where I could be like, hey, I need to work here, or if I needed a job, I could find a job. And that was also hard. Like you were the new kid in town, but it was like, to me, I was like, I had already been hustling for 4 years in New York, and then you have to kind of start over.
Yeah.
I had the agent, which was a huge deal. But yeah, it was like, I didn't know anyone, not a person.
So you just knew you needed to be in LA to do commercial dance and dance with artists and be on tours and do all that. And it just, after 4 years of Knicks, you were like, okay, next chapter. That was pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. And the crazy, if I can jump into this full circle story.
Yeah, go for it.
You're a part of, actually.
I love it. Tell me.
So my last year on the Knicks, I was getting to a place where I was like, okay, I've done this. I'm ready to move on. Right. And that last year, the NBA decided to do an all-star dance team. So they voted on one team. Each team picked a dancer to represent the team as the all-star dance team. So I was chosen for the Knicks, the New York Knicks. I went to Las Vegas, where I also met a bunch of other women who were still in my life. And there was one representative from every team. And I remember knowing, okay, I'm moving to LA regardless after this, like within months from this moment. And they wanted us, we performed, we did everything that they wanted us to do. But one of the things they wanted us to do was kind of be like a crowd filler for the halftime show. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, so the halftime show is Christina Aguilera. And I'm in the audience and I'm watching these dancers and I'm just like, that's what I want to do. Like I was almost in tears, like have it, which I shouldn't have been because that wasn't my job in that moment. But I was like, I don't want to be standing here. I want to be up there doing that with these people. I remember I just had such strong emotions about it. And fast forward, I packed up, I moved to LA. I got here and I was like, what am I doing? But I kept going. And then it was like within months, I remember like I said, like I didn't have a family financially supporting me. I was like on my own here. And I remember getting to a point where I was like, okay, this is getting tricky. Like I may need to find another job, right? And I booked a show. I booked a TV show called American Gladiators. It was a remake of an older show. And Menina also, that's where we met. Yep. We booked the show and we booked American Gladiators and we were in rehearsal. We even made it to, I think, shooting?
I don't think we were shooting, but we went to, I don't know, it was like a tech. We went to set. We went to set for something. We were going to do a walkthrough. And then they broke the news and sent us home and said, just kidding. They're canceling the dancers altogether. Guys,
that didn't even happen because I was getting emails for our job, basically. Like I was like, that's so weird. I'm getting casting notices on like these casting networks for the same job. And I remember the person I was with, I was like, something's not right. And they're like, oh, it's fine. Don't worry, you're already booked. And then the next morning we got canceled. And I remember I just like sobbed because I was like, what am I going to do? Like I was so counting on this job financially, like all of it.
Yeah, it was a big job. I mean, it was a whole season. We were cast as dancers for an entire season.
The SAG after show.
It was a union show. And I think we auditioned like the week of Thanksgiving. And there was very few dancers that showed up because they were all out of town. And we were in town and they casted really quickly. And
it moved fast.
It moved very fast. And it was actually, I feel like around this time, like where we were so thankful to have a job right before the holidays, because usually it starts to slow down around, after Thanksgiving, the industry usually slows down. So it was a big, big job. And I was devastated too.
I was so crushed.
Because then you're like, do we get paid?
Well, so basically, because that job got canceled, the next day I was able to go to an audition for a commercial. And I was like, pick myself back up and let's just do this. Mm-hmm. I go in, it's a Jell-O commercial. And I ended up booking the commercial. And I only booked the commercial because I was able to go to the commercial because the show got canceled. The rehearsal got canceled.
Everything happens for a reason.
And it was Jerry Slaughter. And Jerry Slaughter, I'll get to it, but like.
Well, I know the story, but okay, keep going. Jerry Slaughter, you need to know that name because there's a reason.
Yeah, They booked me on this show. On the commercial. It was fun. They were fun. We like clicked. I was able to get residuals. It kind of pushed me through. Now I start getting calls from Jerry Slaughter to come in and do like this audition or this audition. He direct booked me on a show to fill in for someone who was pregnant on a live show. And it was Christina Aguilera. So within it wasn't even 6 months. I'm sitting in a rehearsal with the same dancers that I was in the audience watching, almost in tears because I wanted to be up there so badly. Like something was just telling me like, there's something here. So because that job got canceled, I then found myself on stage with those same people. And
wow. I didn't have a part of the story.
It makes me it still makes me almost teary because like
your life changed because that connection.
And pregnant, I just finished a job with Jerry Slaughter. And that was like, I don't know, how many years is that? Like 20 years? He's kept me working. They're like my family,
this whole time.
I literally did a job pregnant with them, like on the other side, on the creative side, all because that job got canceled. And then we got paid for it.
That was the very on top, guys. So we got cut. So we're like, oh no, we're not going to get paid. Yeah. There was a whole claim that was filed because we were technically booked. When you're booked on a union job, even if the job doesn't happen, per union rules, you have to get paid for the days that they booked you. So because it was a whole season, we got paid for the whole season and we didn't work.
We didn't film an episode. We got paid.
Episode.
It was
So we got paid for a job we didn't exactly do.
We cried over it, but we still,
right. But Riddle, I mean, if that job would have happened, you wouldn't have had an opportunity to work with Jerry Slaughter. Jerry Slaughter, guys, he's been Christina Aguilera's choreographer, creative director for how long? How far back? Back to like early 2000s, maybe like 25 years.
She started as a dancer, and then he assisted Tina Landon, and then he continued with her, and like they're still doing stuff.
They're still working. So
and he's on The Voice. He does Masked Singer at the moment. He's doing like a whole bunch of. He does a lot. Latin Grammys, like everything,
and he's kept you working ever since.
Oh, yeah,
done like every tour and anything Christina does. You're there. You're like,
yeah. Right now, I'm not.
Well, right now you're on a little. There's life just kind of happen. You know, you're lifing right now. You're growing your family, which is a beautiful gift. But
it's literally like the clear as day. Like, okay, just trust that things will.
The process. I know that feeling because I had a similar episode as well with the Britney dancers. I saw them on the VMAs. I think it was 2000, and I was like, it's what I want to do. And this was before social media. So I really had to dig deep to find out who these people were. And then the following year I did the Britney tour auditions, and I didn't book the tour, but then that's what got me booked on the Pepsi commercials for Super Bowl. And then all those same dancers that I saw on the VMAs were dancing alongside me and became my friends. And
you're like looking around like, is this real life?
Like, I was just daydreaming about this stuff like a year ago, and now I'm dancing amongst them. So I know that feeling that you're talking about, how you're just like, I want to be a part of that. It's like almost like you created this vision in your mind, and somehow the universe the stars.
How powerful it is to have that vision, and to have goals, whether you're like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but then weirdly, sometimes it happens.
It does. Well, that's why the first assignment in the business of dance is a vision board. Because getting clear on what your vision is really powerful. It's not like a magical thing that you just like wish for it and hope that it happens. You have to take actionable steps. But when you do have a clear vision of what you want your future to look like, it is wild how it can manifest down the line. So what a beautiful moment for you to have. I'm so glad. I didn't realize I was a part of that journey.
And that's Tiana too. That's where I met Tiana and Christina. Like it's just.
And then guys, just fast forward like almost 20 years later, we just saw each other like a month ago because I was on Tiana Gandelman's podcast as a guest, and she's the show producer of the show. And because you guys were friends on the Christina tour, and then I was like, hey, do you want to do my podcast? And here we are.
No.
It goes back to my philosophy of context equals contracts, and we're in the relationship business. Like, we're in the people business. Yes, we're dancers, but we are very much in the people business. The connections and the relationships that you make along the way, like it's like, yeah, you were just a new kid on the block. I didn't even know who you were at the time, but I was like, okay, you're cool. And then I kept seeing your face. And then I saw you all the time and everything, Christina. I was like, oh, she blew up. And we lost touch, I hadn't seen you in years. And I
know, it's crazy to see you in person.
Yeah, it was like
thinking about on your relationships. It's like not even just choreographers, dancers, because also I found the older I got, like I used to do this show Harlow Gold, which was more of like a passion project, and I started to meet other dancers that weren't in my immediate like circle, and then those dancers, you create friendships with them, and like you work well together. And then they're on a job with a choreographer, and that choreographer's like, hey, I'm looking for da-da-da-da-da. And they're like, oh, I have this friend. Same thing with Britney. I really didn't know many people on that job. But then that opened and expanded my world to a whole other group of dancers. And then not only are you working more because you're meeting more choreographers, but you're also meeting more of your peers who then, put your name in another room or with another choreographer. And it's like, it's the relationships. You're right.
I love that. Okay. So let's go back. You book Christina's, what tour was that? What was the first job, or what was the first?
I jumped into Back to Basics. Jerry's sister, Monique was pregnant, and I almost missed that opportunity too, because I was
So you basically replaced her temporarily.
Yeah.
But then
I learned the whole show in 4 days.
oh wow.
It was like
Um,
a lot.
So then back to basics. Then what happened after that?
Trying to think what happened after that. Then I think I did spot dates. So we did like the American Music Awards. We did like random shows, which are some of my favorites. And then I remember we did Bionic. So we were actually going to go back out on a full tour, and we were rehearsing, learning the whole thing, and it got canceled.
Oh,
Yeah.
lovely. We love
Yeah.
those.
I'm trying to think if that came before or after. So, okay. So before that, I actually did Burlesque with Christina.
Okay.
The whole chapter.
Now
Yeah.
tell me the story with Burlesque, because if I remember correctly, her tour dancers were not included or something, but you did. So how did that happen?
Well, that was a whole other kind of interesting story. Like, I heard that they were casting for Burlesque and I hadn't been called yet. And so I emailed my agent multiple times, multiple days. And I was like, I need to get in here. And I think they were already casting for the acting roles. And so I went to a large call. I was there all day, hours, like maybe 9 hours dancing.
I was there too. Was it the Sony?
Yeah, it was on the soundstage.
Yeah, it was on the soundstage. It was a really big, like, warehouse feeling. Yeah, there was lots of dancers.
And we danced and danced for hours, which I'm like, I don't know if I could do that today. But so then I know I had to come back and do it all over again. And at that point, I had done the back to basics spot dates with her. I did American Music Awards and maybe something else. And so she kind of knew me, but I wasn't one of her tour dancers. I wasn't like fully in. I had worked with her a little bit. And then I got the call. And I mean, I wanted to be in this movie so bad. I got the call that I guess I had booked it, but it was one of those jobs where you feel like even though you booked it, you're still auditioning every day.
Mm.
And that we felt that way all the way to the end. Because even if we were on the job, we were auditioning for a specific number in the movie.
Okay.
And at that moment, I was actually hired as her double.
As Christina's double?
Yeah. So
Are you guys the same size?
no. Excuse me.
I
No,
thought you were taller. Am I
just taller, and I'm just built differently than Christina. But it was more or less like, I mean, it was a little bit confusing for me in the beginning because I was like, am I in the movie? Am I not? And then basically not only Christina, but I was learning I was learning Cher's parts. I was learning Julianne Hough's parts. I was learning Christina's parts, and I had to kind of pitch it to the director, because they don't have the time with all of these celebrities, and somebody had to do it. So it was a tough job because when the other dancers were sitting, I was still dancing. So it was almost like I was swinging a swing in a way.
Yeah.
And then I finally ended up in the movie too. So I was very happy about that.
You were stand-in for multiple people and dancer.
And then fully dressed head to toe in her outfit in her costume to do certain tricks, like kicks. There were a few moves that they were like, we don't know if she's going to do them. I think in the movie, it's all her, but I was sitting there fully dressed just like her.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a hard job, but I really wanted that job.
So then you did, rewind, Burlesque, and then Bionic after?
Then Bionic happened after that. Yeah.
How many tours have you done?
Promo tour and then got canceled. It got canceled.
Right. Hold on, interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Did Britney fit in between this and then you were going back to Christina?
Britney was after that because that was probably, now we're at 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fast forward a little bit. At what point did you do any other tours before Britney?
Yes. I'm trying to think. After Bionic, we still did shows. She didn't really go on a full tour, but then, there were little tours for
little tours,
promo tours here and there. I know I'm probably missing some. Yeah.
It's all a blur.
Yeah, it was a blur.
And then at what point did you get into Britney, because it was the residency that you started with, right? And then the tour?
Well, I grew up diehard Britney fan, and every time there was a Britney audition, I missed it. I was out of town or I was doing a show or whatever. And I remember that was another moment, watching her VMAs when in 2001, I was just like it was that same kind of feeling, intuition, I need to do this, the same thing that you had.
Yeah.
There was something there. It was the same thing. There was an audition for, there was an audition for the Work Bitch video. And I auditioned multiple days. I made it to the end of that. And I ultimately didn't book it. So then when the audition for the residency came around, I was like, well, if I didn't book that, like, should I go? And they were like, we still want you to go. So I went. And it was another one of those like sun up to sundown all day. It was square division. And they expect a lot from dancers, square division. And they say it. I'm not like releasing a secret. They will say like, we expect so much from you guys. And it was one of the hardest. That was another hard experience for me, but multiple days, weeks went by. And finally I ended up booking that job. And that was one of the first, like now there's a bunch of residencies in Vegas, but this was like the first time they were bringing LA dancers to do this Vegas show. We had 3 months of rehearsal, I think it was. And yeah, and we like kind of set the standard, I think, for like the contract, for all of that. And I think it's different now, but it was a really unique job where we would go out for 3 months, it would be like a month long. We would have 3 shows in the run and we would kind of like come back and forth. And I did that for 4 years and then toured with her for a year or like right after that in 2018. Yeah.
And then there was the VMAs or something, I think, in there that you did.
The VMAs. We did a bunch of like little spot dates. Yeah. The VMAs. That was another full circle because I found myself back at Madison Square Garden, like
back in New York City. Yeah. Dreaming of the day you get to do the VMAs and there
with Britney Spears. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, at the VMAs, like when you were watching it in 2001.
Yeah, these like pinch me moments, you know?
Although wasn't that the year where she wasn't exactly at her, how should I say this? I don't want to speak badly of anyone, but
it wasn't that performance. I was not in that performance.
Oh, you were not in that performance. Okay.
But she still was kind of like, it was one of like the first times back in a really long time.
Really long time. And it wasn't just, it was a little bit shaky in comparison to her early 2000s.
It was with G also.
Okay.
In duo. Yeah.
I think I vaguely remember there was 2 dancers right behind her.
Yeah, it was me and Kaylee.
Okay. I don't know who Kaylee is, but I mean, cool. VMA's Britney. I mean, still great credit. So was that the end of the Britney run for those 4 years and then the tour and then VMA somewhere in the middle?
And then after that, she was maybe going to jump into domination and then that didn't end up happening.
Right. It was the conservatorship and all of that.
Yeah, she went through a lot. Yeah.
She went through a lot. And was that the last communication and the last interaction that you had with her?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. But then you went back to Christina?
Yeah. And then I found myself back on the same stage at Planet Hollywood doing a residency with Christina.
The same theater?
Yeah. I was like, this is so interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we did that for almost a year. And our last show was March 7th, 2020. And a week later, everybody shut down. Yeah.
So it was supposed to end and it ended a week before the whole world went crazy.
Yeah. I think we only had like a few more shows left and then everything ended,
Wow. Okay. So how did that whole 2020 work out for you? What was going on in your life during that time?
Well, I was sad and I was nervous because I was like, all of my jobs are getting canceled. I was supposed to do another summer tour with her. I was supposed to do, because also, we were touring in between Vegas. And it's interesting because the end of 2019, we were on tour and I remember being so sick. And it makes me wonder if,
you probably had it and didn't even know.
Yeah, we had toured through Europe and I got back and I was like, really, really sick. So, you never know. You don't know.
Now, when did motherhood happen? When did marriage happen?
I got married in 2016 and then left and moved to Vegas and left my 2 cats and was like, I'm going to Vegas. But I would go back and forth. And then in 2020, my husband was actually filming a movie in Australia and they were the only ones that continued working throughout the pandemic, like throughout those beginning early months.
Okay.
And he didn't really, I was like, listen, it's really crazy. Like he had no clue what was going on. And I was like, no, you don't know. Like there's no food. Like it's crazy here. And once they started like canceling flights from Europe and all of that, they he finally got it. But when he finished and wrapped, he was like, I don't want to come to LA. Like he's French, Swiss American. So I ended up flying to Europe for
Right. You mentioned that to me before. Okay. So you were temporary living?
well, everything kept getting canceled. And I was like, as a dancer, when you're in LA, you're like, if I'm not in LA, then I might not get to do whatever job that I don't even know about because you have to be available.
Right.
So it's always very hard to get me out. But I was like, okay, there's nothing happening. The 3 jobs I have coming up, I was supposed to do mass dancer with Tiana as one of the women in black, and that got pushed. Everything just kept getting pushed, which was scary. I can't even imagine being a new dancer moving to LA during that time. I thought about that and I felt for all of those dancers. I was like, I can't even imagine.
I interviewed one a few weeks ago who actually moved around that time. But you know what? She said it worked in her favor because so many dancers left. And there's that stage, she actually was working under the really tough conditions, but she was working. So correct me if I'm wrong. For baby number 1 was born in Europe?
Baby number 1, I got pregnant in Europe, said, okay, I'm coming back. I'm moving us out and I'm going back to Europe. And I had her, I was in between France and Switzerland. My husband and I filmed a movie over there while I was pregnant.
Amazing.
And and it was a totally different experience. So motherhood was a different experience, but also like being in another country and not fully speaking the language. And
right. Okay, so at what point did you come back to LA and because you went back on tour with Christina or you started working with her again? Well, so like how did that all work out?
That was a hard thing for me. It's like I always knew I wanted to have kids, but I love performing. I love dancing. And I even kind of have kicked that transition into other parts of the entertainment industry down the road a little bit because I'm like, I don't love teaching. I love performing. So for me, it was like a really hard transition. It's like being a new mom, our relationship to our bodies, being a woman. We ended up moving back when she was 6 months old. So that was in 2020. I had her in 2021 and we moved back during 2022.
Okay, that's when things started.
I was over there about a year and a half and COVID started, things were picking back up.
Yeah.
And then I was a new mom in LA thinking, I would just jump back into things, but it was very different after being gone for a year and a half and now mother. But I know Jerry came back into my life like he always does. And he was like, listen, I can't be here, but there's a commercial that Christina's doing for a perfume campaign and she needs a movement director and I can't do it. Can you do it? And I think Christina maybe like trusted my movement as a woman also like,
yeah.
Yeah. And so I did that. And then I got another call to like do movement direction for Olivia Rodrigo to fill in for Melissa, who couldn't be there. So I did that one job with Olivia Rodrigo also. But anyway, so then a dancer had dropped out of the Vegas residency that Christina was doing. And Jerry was like, hey, do you think that you would want to jump into this? And, I had done like The Voice and I had done a few things here and there, but I hadn't done a full like concert as a mother since I got back. And I remember I did have a little bit of a panic attack and I was like, can I do this? I definitely had some anxiety around it. And then it was like riding a bike, and the show was an hour long and it was very much my style. Like it was kind of an intimate cabaret show. And then I was like, sure, I can make Vegas happen. And then they were like, hey, can you go to Morocco with us? Hey, can you do Japan? Can you do this? So then I'm like now trying to juggle a toddler with my husband and he would bring her to Vegas. I would get back from the show. I didn't go on until midnight. I would get back at 2 a.m. and she would be like up and then I'd be up at 6. Like it was a little bit tricky, to maneuver, but we figured it out.
I think you were on tour with Christina this summer, right? As the newly pregnant?
My last job was the end of last year, I believe. I think we went to Japan.
Okay.
And then I got pregnant at the beginning of this year. So I kind of have been out.
You're on maternity leave right now.
I'm still like, working with Jerry on things, like doing creatives and stuff with the team. And again, it's like those relationships.
That's amazing. I don't know a lot of dancers that have been on tours and done a lot of consecutive work with artists, like most, you do like maybe a few months, maybe a year, and you do 121 and done kind of thing. But to actually consecutively work with back and forth with like Christina and then Britney and then back to Christina, I mean, is amazing.
I mean, I'm so grateful because a lot of the times our jobs are so short.
Yeah.
And sometimes I didn't work with Christina, like it just wasn't the right fit at the right time or whatever. But then I kind of always came back. And that first job was like 2007 or 8, I think. And literally my last job was like 2024. So that's a very long time to work with an artist. And also like kudos to her to have these dancers around her that have been there from.
Because like Monique Slaughter, Jerry Slaughter's sister, she's been dancing with her.
Still dancing with her.
Yeah. Dancing with her. She's also a mama. And so what, early 2000s?
I mean, from the beginning, her and Jerry, yeah. So like early, like Genie in a Bottle, I think.
Yeah. That's rare for a dancer to have work for like 25 years with the artist. Did you develop a close friendship with Christina?
Yeah, I love her. I mean, our relationship has gone through different stages, but like now we connect on, motherhood or whatever it may be. But like you get to know what these artists like and you get to know how to work with them on stage. And like, I think that's important too, is like learning what each artist needs. And I think she probably feels supported and solid around people who have been with her since the beginning.
She seems loyal. Like I feel like there's been a few of you that have stuck around a really long time, and not all artists are like that. Sometimes you're lucky if you get a second tour with them, or you're lucky if you get a second job with them.
I think Pink is like that, which I've always admired too. Like she has her core dancers and she's had them for decades.
That's amazing. Yeah. If you can get that kind of job and that kind of relationship with someone, and I'm sure, and I think it would go back to the whole concept of relationships. There's a dime a dozen dancers that I'm sure could do the movement, but it's not about that. It's like, what would you say? Well, what is your secret sauce? Why do you feel like Christina kept asking you back and Jerry kept asking you back? And why do you think you've stuck around so long?
Well, one, I think I work hard. Two, it works. Like the energies work together, right? Like also there's some things that like you just can't control. Like if I were 2 inches taller, I wouldn't be dancing with Christina, and that would just be out of my control. You know what I mean? Because she's petite. I think being a smart dancer, being aware of everything around you, being aware of her. I think when a choreographer can trust you, I think that also, it's like, I've been a choreographer on jobs where I'm like, oh, I hope I picked the right dancers. You know what I mean? Because it's ultimately it falls back on you if they can't do the job, right? It's like also an energy thing, and being positive and supportive and just like fully being in it. So that's what I would say. Yeah. But I will say there's times I didn't do jobs with Christina for whatever reason, and like, or a tour ends. And I know that you and Tiana spoke about this, and like everything you spoke about, I couldn't agree more. Like coming off of some of these jobs can be also really low. It's like you're at the highest point of your career, and then now you don't know when you're going to
stop the next day. Yeah. That's
hence why I could never leave town, because I was like, well, I have to be here.
Well, now the game has changed. Like when I was auditioning, you had to be in the room. Like if you were in our town, it didn't matter. Like there was no self-tape auditions back then. That wasn't acceptable. You had to be
so different now.
Now it's like, oh, you send a self-tape or not even an audition at all. And it's just like, are you available? And you're booked.
I know. I mean, the majority of the jobs, I don't remember the last time I went to an audition.
You're a veteran at this point. We have some business and dance mentees that are online with us. Let's start with, it looks like Raylyn.
Hi, I'm Raylyn. My question for you, what's something that would have completely changed the way you approached your career when you were just starting out?
There's a lot of different things that I would do differently probably, but I would just say like, keep training. I think at some point I did stop training, but I would say keep training as much as you can. And then also try to control anything that is in your control that, whether that means like meditating, taking care of yourself, eating right, fueling your body, fueling your mind. I would say that those two things, there were times that I didn't do that. And I do think looking back, taking care of myself, anything that I can control, training, but also having other things than just dance that make you happy too. I think for those moments when you're coming off tour and you're like, having other things that excite you and you're passionate about, I think is always a positive, while also putting everything into this, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
I love that. It's basically taking care of your whole self because
and there's things out of your control, but there's things in your control too.
And I love that you say that as well. That's actually one of the last lessons. There's a mental skills educator that does a session, and dancers that if you're not at the end of the program, you're like, what is she talking about? When you get there, you'll understand what she talks about, making the list of the things you can control and the things that you can't control, because you can't control the outcome of an audition. You can't control who books you and who doesn't, but you can control how you show up. You can control what you wear. You can control how you take care of yourself, food, nutrition, what you put in your body, and all those things. And we have a nutrition component and mental skills and all those things, because it's so true that it's not just about the steps. There's so many. If your mind isn't right and you walk into an audition, people are going to feel that energy, that it's off.
Absolutely. What you consume, social media, what you consume on social media, what you know, all of that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Raylan. Next up, we have Maya.
Hi, my name is Maya. I'm 16 and I'm from Colorado. My question for you is, being a professional dancer is such a rewarding career, and although it's such a fun experience to have, what would you say were your biggest mental and physical challenges throughout your times auditioning and your times in jobs?
Many times I found that the audition was harder than the actual job. So I do think, going back to what I said before, the come down of, and I don't know if this answers your question, but the come down of coming off of a job and not knowing what's next, stressed me out, because like I said before, like I was fully supporting myself from a very young age. Looking back, what I would do differently is, like, some dancers like got certified in Pilates and they were able to do that. And like, if that takes the edge off, if that can make you calm down and show up at an audition as a better dancer, to me, I think looking back, I would have stressed less and it just would have made everything a little bit easier. Does that answer your question?
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Piper.
Hi, I'm Piper Eastwood. I'm 10 years old and I live in Fairfax, Virginia. My question for you is, how did you gain confidence as a young dancer?
I would almost say that, like, I was more confident as a young dancer because I was so determined that I was like, I am doing this. And then I will say that the industry can be tough. So sometimes it can kind of wear on you a little bit or make you question who you are. And I think for me, always being prepared as I could possibly be for whatever I was approaching, gave me confidence. Now, too, I'm like, if I'm doubting choreography, if I'm doubting anything, I will be home practicing so that I can show up more confident because I'm prepared. I think that's a huge part, being prepared.
Well, all of you right now are doing the work to be prepared. So
I wish I had Menina when I was growing up. This is a great program. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, the goal is to get them prepared to, get all your marketing assets in order. So if an opportunity presents itself, it's like, boom, here's my headshot and resume. Here's my casting profile. Here's my website. Here's my demo reel. Because a lot of times dancers just don't have their stuff together. And then they're scrambling, trying to get those things together, and having the training, having the skill set, having all that tools in your toolkit so that you can whip it out at any given time and be ready for those opportunities when they come. So thank you so much, Piper. All right. Next up, we have Miss Ava.
Hi, my name's Ava. I'm 15, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. And my question is, what exactly did you do when you got to LA?
What did I do when I got to LA? I cried because I was like, what am I doing? But then I immediately set up, I was nervous. I was in a new city I'd never been in. Like, what did I do? But I knew I had to be there. I reached out to my agent and I just made sure, like, they knew who I was. I had the headshots they wanted me to have. I had everything prepared. And then I started auditioning. I started taking class. I started just showing up. But again, you guys are kind of ahead of the curve because you have all this information, which is so incredible.
Thank you so much, Ava.
Yeah.
And now I want to go back to the other Ava. I didn't mean to confuse you guys. We have Ava LaBella. I want you to come on, introduce yourself, and what is your question?
I'm Ava LaBella. I'm 19 and I'm from LA, actually. I was just wondering, what's the most physically tasking job you did? Like, if there was a specific job that you thought really took a toll on your body?
Britney, learning the residency. Again, Square Division will tell you they expect a lot, and we danced all day. And some dancers were like physically ill. There's actually a documentary can't remember the name of it, but it was on E and it was about our process. And one dancer went down, tore something. He was out. I had like a back injury just from overuse. I was also doing the show Harlow Gold that I had mentioned before. I was dancing like 60 hours a week and then going and doing Harlow Gold at night, which was like a cabaret show, a very cool underground cabaret show. And that was mentally and physically the hardest job I've ever done by far.
Thank you. I'm going to see if I can find that documentary about it.
If I find it, it might be on YouTube. I'll send it.
Well, thank you so much. Great to meet you.
Thank you, Other Ava. And now we go to Michaela. Introduce yourself and what is your question?
Hi, I'm Michaela. I'm 16 years old and I'm from Virginia. I was actually just listening to Burlesque today.
Oh, fun.
What is the most challenging dance you had to learn in Burlesque?
Again, I think for me personally, I was jumping in and out of sometimes being a dancer and sometimes learning the celebrities' movement and routine. So that was hard mentally. I think the hardest was the finale with the letters. I'm on the letter E on the right. And like you had to make sure one girl completely fell off and broke her ankle during this process too. Like not only off the letter, off the stage. And like you had to make sure in the dark with the lights that like you found the right little place to put your foot as you're crawling up. And like it was physical. And that was the last thing that we filmed. And I think that day, it was to the point where I think it was Kristen Bell. She was like going up to the director and was like, we need to let them go to the bathroom. Like we were there for like 20 hours or something insane. When you're doing a SAG job too, once you go past a certain amount of hours, your rate changes. So it was great because we were in like golden time or golden.
Golden time? I've only had one job that went to golden time. That was
And I think we didn't get a proper turnaround. So we had my neck out, like we were done. We were totally physically done. So that was like a really intense one. Yeah.
Golden time start. Is it 20 hours? I don't remember.
It's something crazy like that where you're just like delirious, and I was in like a metal chain outfit and needed water. But if I needed water, I would need to go to the bathroom. Like it was just like, there was no time for anything. But
you got well paid on those golden times. So dancers,
I'm still getting paid.
Yeah, I'm sure you're still getting residuals. So dancers, just to understand the logistics of the union stuff. So when you do a union job like that, your day rate is usually the first 8 hours. And then after that, you go into overtime. And then there's I think it's like time and a half at certain point, and then it's double time. And then you get your day rate per hour. So whatever the day rate is, I don't even know what it was, but let's say
then I don't know.
$800, $600.
Maybe.
Okay, so let's just say your day rate is $800 for the day. You're getting $800 an hour when you get into golden time.
Because I've been there for so long.
So it's like, yes, it sucks when you're tired, but
you're like,
you're like, bring it on. We're golden time.
It's exactly the energy we all had. Yeah.
Because I remember when we were in golden time with Pepsi, Joe Pitka, the director, like we were on the last, like the Now commercial. We shot it in one take because we were doing different, eras. And then that was like in my opinion, like the best era because it was like the current era and it was the more intricate movement as well. We got only to shot it one time. They were like, okay, let's go, guys. We did it one take. Okay, that's a wrap. Like production was like, we are not playing with these 30 dancers that are on like their day rate right now.
Yeah.
I mean, just do the math. Anybody want to do the math real quick of 800? Like, let's just say it's $800 times 30. That's just the dancers. Forget the crew that's also
an hour.
Yeah, for an hour plus the golden time. They were like, let's do the one take wonder. And they were like, cut, bye.
What an iconic commercial. Yeah.
And that was my first commercial ever, too. And that was my first and my best. After that, there was no other commercial that compared. All right. Thank you so much, Michaela, for your question. Next up, we have Joella Ramos.
Hello, I'm Joella Ramos from Bonaire, from the Caribbean. My question is, what advice would you give somebody who wants to move to another city or country with not a lot of money? So, yes.
Gosh, this is a tough one because I did it. I moved here without a lot of money. Whew. And then I also have been in another country where I didn't speak the language. And that gave me such a new understanding for people who come here who don't speak, like the language. Like, it's so tough to be in another country and then have to go through the hoops that you have to go through, which I'm sure Menina can help you with. But
yes,
I would say
I don't have the O1 visa, so I'm not allowed to work either. But yeah.
Okay. Oh, goodness.
A whole other obstacle. It's hard enough just to move to a new city, let alone a new country. And then you got to add the visa layer. Trust me. I know I've done it. And
yeah.
I feel like you have probably better advice than I would have. But I mean,
city, that means you moving to.
Yeah. But I was able to go get a job. Like I could waitress, or I could do, you know what I mean? Like I would say, like, do you know anyone? You want to move to LA?
New York.
New York. Okay. And you know people there.
Yeah, I do.
That already is like a huge thing. Just having any kind of relationships, any kind of anything where you can just work. Ugh, I don't know. This is a hard one for me to answer for you. But when I did it without a lot of money and I didn't know a lot of people and it was hard. But
yeah,
I did it. And I think you could probably do it too, You can do it.
Yes.
I don't know if that was the most helpful answer. But
no, that's okay.
I just do it.
I just heard a story. I was at this wealth conference in Miami this weekend, and I heard a story of a man who became a multi-millionaire from China. He immigrated from China, and he came to the country with $40 and landed at JFK Airport and didn't even have a place to live or a job yet. And he now, older man now, but multi-millionaire.
Yeah, you can do it. I think try to set up anything you can set up possibly ahead of time. And like, whether that's coffees with people, jobs, anything, even if it's a little side job to just get you to the place you need to be. But good luck.
Thank you.
Be bold, be brave, be resourceful, be creative, be hungry. And that's the one thing too, I will say, dancers, is never stop being hungry. Because there's something special about when you were crying in New City and all those things, there was a hunger there. Once you start booking, you start getting comfortable. I see dancers get complacent and never lose that hunger. Like
no one was going to tell me no. Period.
Yeah. When you're kind of that puppy where you're like wet behind the ears and you're just like, I'm going to do this. No limiting beliefs. And then sometimes you become an older dog and you get bit a few times, and then you become a little bit more skeptical and a little bit more pessimist. And but there's something really beautiful about the innocent puppy that's just like,
I think that's kind of what I meant about the confidence too, which was a different, when you're young, you're kind of a little naive and you're like, I'm going for this, and you have that confidence.
All right. Thank you so much, Joella. Next, we have Julissa. Introduce yourself. What is your question?
Hi, I'm Jellisa. It's so nice to meet you, by the way. I wanted to ask you, so I'm a person with a very heavy workload, and sometimes it makes me overwhelmed. Like, I'm never not doing anything. I don't hang out with my friends. I wanted to know, how do you manage that without getting anxiety or, stress and stuff like that?
Well, I still do at times, especially now being a mom and then maybe a mom of two. And I do... I have some specific moments in my life where I was doing multiple jobs before childhood, and I would get overwhelmed and I would have a million things on my plate. And what helped me was I would write it out and I would literally do it in order of importance. And I would say, okay, I cannot let myself spin or think about these 10 things down here. I need to focus on what's in front of me, what's most important, and just go from there. Like literally 2 steps in front of me. What do I need to do? And doing that really helped. And again, for me, always it was taking care of myself physically and mentally. And you know what? If you can find a little time to have some fun, even a little, whatever that may be, do that. But the fact that you can handle a heavy workload, I think is also an asset, because things expected of dancers are sometimes a little crazy.
Yeah.
So
you're training. You're in training.
But you have to sometimes just take a break and go outside, go for a walk, and stop everything. And just when I get overwhelmed, sometimes I just need to put everything down and I literally just stop And for me, it's going on a hike in the mountains with my dogs in total peace and quiet and silence, and just being outdoors and not talking to anybody and just letting my mind drift. And then somehow I'm able to like regroup again and get back into it. That's just for me. But you got to find your modalities of what works for you. Some people meditate, some people pray, some people work out, some people get fresh air, some people just take time with family and friends and then get refocused. So you got to figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Parker. Introduce yourself and what is your question?
Hi, my name is Parker. I'm 14 years old, and my question is, when you're on tour, how did touring affect your mental health? And if so, how did you cope or manage it?
I am someone who likes to be home and have like a routine. And when you're on tour, that gets like ripped apart. You're like, where am I? Who am I? I think knowing that like when you're on tour, it's something that's not going to happen forever, right? So it's like really just soaking it up and trying to enjoy every moment of it. But also like, one, it's made me a great packer. I can pack in 2 seconds. But I think it's also just like finding those things that ground you at home and trying to take them on tour with you. It can be a lot, and when you're on tours, you don't have your union. So sometimes you're there for 16 hours also. Sometimes you're there all day. Like that's something I feel like needs to be worked on, but like it's physically and mentally demanding, but it's also like one of the best feelings in the world.
World, how many countries have you been to? Have you actually counted?
I haven't counted, but it's a lot. It's almost
the perk of being on tour though, is you get to travel the world on someone else's dime and you get paid for it and you get to dance in front of thousands of people every night and have the rush and the time of your life.
I hope that wasn't a negative answer, but it's hard, but it's like
it is hard.
So
not everybody enjoys tour life. Like I love tour life, but I've been traveling my whole life. My parents dragged me around when I was little, so I'm on the road right now. I'm in Miami. I was in Dallas earlier this week. Like that's always been. I've always been happy traveling, but not everybody is. Like we had Anthony Carr. I don't know if you have ever worked with that Connect, but he did a whole session of tour life. When his first tour, he was 18 years old. He never even been on a plane before until his first tour. And like that, it's a lot if you're not used to travel. That
I will say what's cool about touring is those fans that came to Vegas, sometimes they were comped like tickets or whatever, like the fans who are coming to see you when you're on tour are incredible. They're so intense and they're like some of the best crowds that some of the best energy you'll ever feel because they're coming to see you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Parker.
Thank you.
Monse, you are next.
Hi, my name is Monse. I wanted to ask, I know that you went over how to balance things. What was your method when it came down to balancing being Christina's double and then also learning all the other dances?
I definitely had moments where I felt like I probably could, looking back, I could have handled it better. It was hard. It was a hard job. But I think the choreographer, Denise Faye, she was really helpful. She's also a choreographer who reached out to me to book me on a job. And I was like, I'm pregnant. I'm really pregnant. I can't do it. So like that was 2010 and we're in 2024. And, these relationships come back around. I think having her as someone who was guiding me through this, she knew it was hard. And the way that she handled the situation with me personally helped me. Again, I think about just staying like, even now, I have to stay present. I have to stay in the moment and I have to just be there because it was a lot of work. But it was also, I was younger and I felt like I could also just like physically handle it. And I was excited. I wanted to be there. But I think just like being present and in that moment and just focusing on like what's in front of me, that helps me with everything in life, period.
Love that. Thank you so much, Monse.
Thank you so much.
Final question from our mentee is Kylie.
Hi, I'm Kylie and I'm 15 years old. And my question for you is, what were some of the tough challenges that you faced while on tour and how did you overcome them?
I would say I feel like I had harder challenges on like Britney or on some of these other, or on Burlesque than I did like on tour. Because on tour, like I feel like I felt pretty solid. Like this was our show. Sometimes though, you're in a different place. The stage is different. You're in a different time zone. You're tired, you're just trying to like function, so like that can be really challenging. And again, I think it goes back to just being present and taking care of yourself. Like, sometimes dancers want to go out and they want to party and stuff. And like, I know, not party, but like, have drinks or whatever. And like, for me, that's not taking care of myself. And I know the next day, I'm not going to feel good. I'm not going to feel my best. I think it's just being present, taking care of yourself and doing what you can, because your surroundings are just sometimes chaotic. You have to just be your best that you can be, I think.
Yeah, the jet lag is a real thing, guys. Like when you're going overseas and it's like 18-hour difference, and somehow you get off the plane and then hours later you're in, a tech rehearsal, and then you got to do a show and you're like, what time is it?
I think you learn how to maneuver like the little tricks of jet lag, right? Like staying up late if you need to
push through the day, even if you're like fighting it, and then so you can actually be tired enough to go to bed at night and not wake up in the middle of the night, because that's and I got my melatonin. That's my thing. If I'm jet lagged, I bring that just in case. But yeah, you create little rituals and little habits that to function, because it can be hard, to dealing with the jet lag, and there's no excuses. You have to be full out every show, every night, again and again. Even we don't always feel like it. All right. Thank you so much, Kylie.
Thank you.
Now, before we wrap things up, do you have any final words or anything that you want to share, plug?
It's so inspiring to see all of these dancers like in this course. Like you guys already are going to have such a jump, like such a step ahead. Like I had to kind of figure all of these things out coming into it. I would have died to be in a course like this. So I think what you're doing is so special, and it's just, you guys are in the right place. You're learning from Menina, who's like one of the best, and you're learning things that like you're not going to have to figure out on your own. I just feel like I wish I had this, this program. So good luck.
Now, dancers, we got to show her some love. Thank you so much
and just keep keep that mentality. Like I can do it, just keep going. Yeah.
Well, thank you, first of all, for on your last days before you become a mother again, that you even make the time to be away from your family for a few minutes to hang out with us and to share your story and to inspire these dancers, because dancers, who wouldn't like to have her life and her career and be on tour with your favorite artist and be in movies and be on dance teams and NFLs or NBAs or whatever she's done, and all of the
for it,
and living out her dream and taking a chance on herself and betting on herself, like that. You are living the dream, even though I know sometimes it's like highs and lows and it's a roller coaster ride. I have a new saying as of this week that I came up with. I hope I remember it. Life is a roller coaster, but let's just say the dance life is a roller coaster. It'll flip you upside down, inside out, scare the living crap out of you, but somehow you want to do it again.
There's nothing like it.
It's just that feeling of like, there's so many things that you could be doing right now. But the fact that you guys are committed to your careers and wanting to learn from someone like Sarah is beautiful. And Sarah, thank you so much for sharing. Like, I felt like I just went on your roller coaster ride.
A few things we missed, but yes, it was a roller coaster.
There's only so much we can cover in an hour conversation, but I'm sure there's many, many moments that we could have hours of conversations to get through your whole story.
I loved being here. Yeah, this was awesome.
Thank you again, Sarah. And what is the best way for dancers to connect with you?
Probably Instagram. I am Sarah Mitchell.
I am Sarah
H. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Good luck to everyone.
And thank you again, Sarah, for being with us. Thank you, dancers. Have a beautiful rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
And that concludes another episode of the Business of Dance podcast.
We hope you found today's conversation insightful and gained valuable knowledge.
Be sure to join us next time for more inspiring interviews with top professionals in the dance industry.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to The Business of Dance on your favorite platform and take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback is greatly appreciated.
This podcast is brought to you by the Business of Dance online mentorship program to help aspiring professional dancers create their dream dance careers.
Thank you for listening. Until next time.